Hello everyone, this is Vedat from Programmership. In this chapter, we are going to talk about extensions. Extension allows us to add extra functionality into a class or structure. It is a pretty useful feature that we can use in our code. We cannot override an existing method or a property of a class or structure inside the extension. So it's time to make some examples to understand it better. I'm going to create a class called player, and then I will add some properties and methods. Let's say class player, and inside let's add some property. Score, it is integer, and let's say var health, it is also integer, and let's create our initializer. And inside the initializer, I'm going to define some default value for score and health. For health, let's say 3. And in the next line, I want to add a function called walk. And with that function, our player can walk. Let's say player is walking. Let's add another one, func swim. This is also another ability for our player. Player is swimming. And outside the class definition, I'm going to create an instance of our player class. Var my player is equal to player. And let's say my player dot swim. And hit run, we can see the swim method was executed. Now, suppose we want to add a new feature for the player. We want our player to be able to fly as well. We can add this feature directly into player class. But instead, let's do that with extension. For creating an extension, we will use extension keyword, extension, and our target class or structure name, which is player in this case. Player, and inside, let's add a method called fly. Fly, and inside print player is flying. So in the player instance, let's say my player dot, take a look at that. We can see our fly method. Let's try to run it and see the result. Hit run, and there we go. Player is flying was printed out. As I said, we cannot override a property or method in the extension. So let's try to override the swim function in the player class inside the extension. Let's say override func swim, and inside let's try to print something overwritten. And let me try to hit run. You can see we got an error. And it says method doesn't override any method from its superclass. So we cannot override it inside extension. Let me delete this. Well, we can use extensions with the structure as well. If I change the player definition from class into struct, it will still work. Let's hit run, and it works. So finally, let's try to add extra functionality to something that is created by Swift itself. We can use string for that purpose. First, let's get into string source code and see what we have in there. So let me change the type as string. I'm gonna press and hold the command key, click the string, it says jump to definition. Let's jump into. And we can see string actually is a struct. That means we can use extensions to add extra functionality for that string struct. Close it, and we can delete all of this and create an extension of string. Inside string, I want to add a method that can add a separator between each letter of a string. We can do that with extension. Let's say func add separator. Inside, let's say separator, that will be string, and it will return back our new string, which contains separator. And inside the add separator method, let's say var new string. At first, it will be an empty string. In the next line, I'm gonna create a for loop and iterate through each letter of a string. Let's say for letter in self. Self means our actually string value. So inside the for in loop, let's create a condition. If self dot last, which is our last letter of string, is not equal to letter then our new string is equal to new string plus letter plus separator, which is our parameter. And if the last letter is equal to letter, we can just say new string is equal to new string plus letter. And outside the for in loop, we can just return our new string. Here it gives an error. I think it is because letter is a char type. So I think we can do something like that. Let me use it inside the string definition. If I say something like that, I hope it will work. The error went away. So inside the if control, I just controlled if the last letter of our actual string is not equal to letter, then we will add separator at the end of the string. If our for in loop comes into last letter, then we don't have to add a separator at the end of it, right? And finally, we just return new string. Here at the outside of extension, let's create a string variable. Var my string is equal to programmership. And let me print the my string dot add separator. And we will give a separator, let's say dash. If I hit run, you can see our string has a separator between each letter. So here, instead of if-else statement, we can use ternary operator. Let's say new string is equal to in ternary operator. First, we will define our condition, which is this guy. And if this condition is true, then we'll use this. If it is not true, then we will use else statement, just like that. So I can delete all of this. And let me hit run. If it works, it seems we have a problem. What is that? Let me check it. Sorry, we have to delete this new string is equal because you already use it here. And let me hit run. We can see it is still working. All right. That's it for this chapter. I hope you have learned something. See you in the next one. Goodbye.